Well, hey, B, it's Jamie. That's me here. Welcome back to the channel. Listen, I came to you guys real quick to talk to you about Jay-Z. You all know that earlier this week he was accused of essaying a 13-year-old girl along with Diddy. Okay, once those allegations came out via a suit that was filed by Tony Busby on behalf of his client, Jay-Z decided to take to Twitter. He had a lot of things to say to get off of his chest to let Tony Busby know that you can try a lot of people, but who and what you're not going to try is me and mine. Okay. He felt as though, real victims should go a different route, more so criminally versus civil. He feels bad for the real victims out there because he feels like this is just a plot, an extortion plot at that. Okay. After receiving a demand letter from Tony, I believe it was back in October. Okay. Once he received that letter from Mr. Tony Busby. That was after Tony filed this lawsuit in October, including three celebrities. He named Diddy, but the other two were labeled as celebrity A and B. Okay. Once he sent the demand letter over to Jay-Z, Jay-Z felt away. He felt as though he was being extorted, legally extorted. And so he decided to actually file a suit, and Tony got upset. He took to Instagram to say a lot of things. Okay. I guess nothing was changing on Jay-Z's end with his team. So then Tony Busby decided to refile the lawsuit and include Jay-Z's name in it to attach him to the salaciousness of it all. Okay. Based on what his client did tell him. All right. So all of that has been going on. Jay-Z has come out and given a statement, whether some felt that it was right on time or whether it was emotional or whatever. He gave a statement along with his team. Okay. Even the NFL has come out to say that they're going to continue to support him moving forward. Okay. Now, with all of that taking place, this week, it appears that Tony Busby, as well as his client, got a chance to go and sit down over at NBC News. And unfortunately for this young woman who was 13 at the time, she went to NBC News hoping to, share her story, get it out there, have a few believers on her side. And NBC decided to fact check, her story, and they noticed a lot of inconsistencies in what it is she has to say. Okay, so we're going to get into that news article. We're also going to get into a statement from Mr. Jay-Z himself, as well as his attorney. And we're also going to check out that interview because it appears that they did do a recorded interview on this as well. Okay. And we'll also check out Tony Busby to see if he may have given any type of statement via his Instagram or, via his Twitter. Okay. So let me go ahead and get that information up so that we can get into this article. All right. So, what they're saying here is Jay-Z rapper Accuser comes forward to NBC News, alleges inconsistencies in her allegations. All right. They're saying an Alabama woman who accused Jay-Z and Diddy of R-ing her when she was 13 years old sat down with NBC News to recount what she called a catastrophic event. A limo ride to a White House, a drink that made her feel woozy, a SA by rap stars that would ruin her life. But the woman and her lawyers also acknowledged that there were some inconsistencies in her account in response to questions from NBC News. Okay. She goes on to say, I have made some mistakes. In recollections of that night, the woman identified as Jane Doe in the lawsuit filed against Jay-Z and Diddy told NBC News. The woman said she stands by her allegations overall. These inconsistencies in her account of the incident, she says, to have happened 24 years ago do not necessarily mean the allegations are false. Among the inconsistencies, the woman said her father picked her up after the alleged SA, but he says he doesn't recall that. She says her father picked her up after the alleged SA, but he says he doesn't recall that. The woman also claims she spoke to a celebrity at the after party where she said she was SA'd, but the celebrity said he was not in New York at that time. And images from that evening show Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, and Sean Diddy Combs at a different location than the one the woman described, although their whereabouts for the entire evening are unclear. This incident didn't happen, Carter says, told NBC News in a statement Friday, and yet He filed it in court and doubled down in the press, referring to one of the woman's attorneys, Mr. Tony Busby. True justice is coming, says Carter. We fight from victory and not for victory. Okay. Busby says he is continuing to vet her claims. This is where, in my opinion, for me, it's not about more so defending Jay-Z. For me, it's more so calling into question the ethical practices of Tony Busby. And for me, I've been said something about him when he came and did the press conference. Reminder for those people that may be new and have not heard it. Okay. When he came to do that press conference, and he said that he had about 120 victims against Diddy, but he also said something about not fully vetting those people. It was some things he said that was a bit contradictory to me, that did not necessarily make sense. And how did you have all of the time to actually vet their stories to make sure that everybody that's telling you things are telling you truth? Okay. Now, I do believe that Diddy is very well guilty of some things, quite a bit of things. However, the 120, along with what you're saying in a press conference, it was a bit shaky for me. So it's just really interesting that you would say now, Mr. Busby, that you're going to be continuing to vet these claims, as you have already sent over a demand letter as well as a lawsuit, standing by what your client is saying as though it's actual factual, but you haven't fully vetted the claims that you drafted up in a legal document to present before the courts. I do kind of feel like, although I'm not an attorney on the outside looking in, I do feel like you playing with the courts just a bit. However, but let's keep going. So Jane Doe's case was referred to our firm by another who vetted it prior to sending it to us. Whew. That is another statement coming from Mr. Busby via email. Okay. That's crazy that you would allow. I mean, I guess maybe they're just a trusted source that they could just send information over to you when it's still going to fall on, your law firm. Right? It's still like the negativity is going to fall on your law firm because you didn't do your due diligence to go behind her to make sure that the things that she's saying actually, make sense. But sounds like she was referred to their firm by another, okay, who vetted it prior to sending it to us. Let's keep going. He goes on to say our client remains fiercely adamant that what she has stated is true to the best of her memory. We will continue to vet her claims and collect corroborating data to the extent it exists, because we have interrogated her intensely. Okay. Goes on to say she has even agreed to submit a polygraph. I've never had a client suggest that before. Okay. I also kind of feel, in my opinion, that earlier on when she says that just because she has inconsistencies in her story does not mean that her allegations are false, and that's true. And I feel like just because she's interested in taking a polygraph test doesn't mean that she's telling the truth either. So we don't know what the heck is really going on. Okay. So again, I feel like this is a situation where, without choosing sides, we still have to see how this plays out and what is actually true and what's not. Okay. Let's see. They also go on to say, he says, in any event, we always do our best to vet each claim made, just as we did in this case. This has been extremely distressing for her, to the point she has experienced seizures and had to seek medical treatment due to the stress. Okay. The allegations against Carter suggest a shift, okay, says potentially linking the rap legend to the alleged behavior laid out in civil and criminal cases against Combs, who is in a Brooklyn jail awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges. Now, Carter's attorney Alex Spiro said it is stunning that a lawyer would not only file such a serious complaint without proper vetting, but would make things worse by further peddling this false story in the press. We are asking the court to dismiss this frivolous case today, and we will take up the matter of additional discipline for Mr. Busby and all the lawyers that filed the complaint. In other words, we're on your ass, okay? You mess with the right one, buddy, okay? You may have been able to punk many others because they were scared, but we are not, and we are coming for you. You thought that the target was on our back, and now we just put it on yours. Let's keep going. They say Combs' attorneys called the suit a shameful money grab. That's their favorite three words. Everything is a shameful money grab, right? Okay. Busby has filed more than 20 lawsuits against Combs. The lawsuit was originally filed in October in the Southern District of New York, listing Combs as a defendant, and it was refiled Sunday to name Carter as another defendant, without naming the third defendant, which is supposed to be a woman. All right. So they're saying NBC News traveled to Houston to interview the woman who declined to be identified at her attorney's office earlier this week. Okay. You should always fight for what happened to you, she said, about why she is going public with her accusations now. You should always advocate for yourself and be a voice for yourself. You should never let what somebody else did ruin or run your life. I just hope I can give others the strength to come forward like I came forward. The woman, who is now 38, told NBC News she was living in Rochester, New York in 2000, and that attending the VMAs was on my bucket list at 13. It was like, oh my gosh, one of those things I've got to do. She says she snuck out of a window to evade her parents. Mm-mm. A friend drove her to Radio City Music Hall in New York City, she said in the lawsuit. People thronged into viewing areas outside the venue, which was decked out for the awards. Crowds roared when J-Lo arrived. Eminem performed on the street. She didn't have a ticket and said in the suit she watched some of this show on the Jumbotron outside. She also started chatting up limo drivers. I'm trying to get in to try to stay away, to try to stay back and get to an after party and get invited and meet some celebrities. Child, that is crazy. Whew. One limo driver said he worked with Combs and that she fit what Diddy was looking for, the suit said, and he told her to return later and he'd take her to an after party. After about 20 minutes in the limo, she said in the suit she arrived at a large white residence with a gated U shaped driveway. She said in the suit she signed a document that she didn't read. Inside, she told NBC News, I'm talking to like Fred Durst and Benji Madden about his tattoo because, about his tattoos. That's the Last Supper because I have a religious background, so it was something to talk about. After accepting a drink from a waitress, she told NBC News, I started feeling funny, tried to start looking for a place to lay down. She found an empty room with a bed in it, she said in the suit, and soon after, Combs, Carter, and a woman entered the room. You are ready to party, Combs said. Both Combs and Carter awed her. She said Jay-Z comes over, holds her down. I started trying to push away. He puts his hands over my mouth, tells me to stop it, to cut the SHI, and then he R's me like he had me overpowered. Afterwards, okay, she said in the suit she managed to flee the house and ran to a gas station. I was upset, she says, and the person at the gas station could tell that I was obviously upset. She let me use the phone. I called my dad because he was the only person I trust at that time. I told him I messed up and I needed a ride home. We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where I was. She told NBC News she never told anyone about the alleged assault or wrote it down in a diary. Even if somebody found out, who was going to believe me? I mean, it was to the word of two celebrities against mine, okay? It was the word of two celebrities against hers. The years after were hard, she said. I got severely depressed. I withdrew completely. My grades started slipping and she dropped out of school. She experienced homelessness, she said, and at one point suffered a head injury. She and her father also said she was art later in life. She now has two children, a son and a daughter. She served less than a year in the Army National Guard and left with the rank of private. She got her high school diploma and got a Christian counseling certification so that she could help people who have gone through what she has gone through. She also said she has her applied behavior analysis certification so she can help people with autism, which she says she has. There are so little resources to moms that don't have the proper amount of income. Okay, goes on to say reaction was swift in the days since the woman went public with her allegations against Carter. The rapper released a statement calling the claims idiotic and heinous in nature and sharply criticizing her attorney. Now, there are some inconsistencies in her story about that night. Her father told NBC News that he does not recall picking her up after the alleged attack, casting doubt on a key detail in her lawsuit. According to their address at the time, her father would have driven more than 5 hours from their home to pick her up. I feel like I would remember that, and I don't, he said. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick to mind. Hmm. The woman's father, the woman's father, who said he learned of the alleged assault this week, added that he did remember once picking her up in the middle of the night, but he said it was a local drive. Hmm. Asked about her father's account in a follow up interview on Friday, the woman says she stood by her claim that he picked her up and that it's possible he had misremembered. All right. She goes on to say there are a lot of things, and this is stuff that we argue about constantly. Something he said or did back in New York around that time period, he just doesn't remember. It actually causes a lot of fights sometimes in the household. Regarding her father's recollections, Busby told NBC News, "We agree he states he doesn't remember." His daughter explains that he was in no state to remember during that point in time due to personal issues he was having then. We are talking about a time frame more than 20 years ago. I don't know if that should be said, like if these were like attorneys going back and forth, because then they're going to start questioning your client because, like you said, it's more than 20 years ago. So they're supposed to rely on the fact that she actually remembers as well. So it could be real muddy in the courts. Okay. But they go on to say the woman also told NBC News she spoke with the musician, Benji Madden at the after party. But a representative for Madden confirmed that neither Benji nor his brother Joel attended the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at that time. The woman did not accuse the brothers of any wrongdoing, however. She just said that she had a conversation with them. Okay? So it looks like she goes on to say, honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me and the route that I took to what happened to me. Not all of the faces there are as clear. So I have made some mistakes. I may have made a mistake in identifying. Identifying what? Identifying who violated you? Or identifying who you were talking to? Or identifying the location you pulled up at? This is damaging to whatever it was, in my opinion, that Tony Busby is trying to put forward against Jay-Z. This is a bit damaging. I don't know if the judge is going to fully drop the lawsuit or if they're going to try to take this to trial and she's going to have to clean up her inconsistencies, but they're going to bring this very situation to the front, I'm sure. This is, girl, let's keep going. The woman also could not provide further information about the after party she said that she attended. Professional images reviewed by NBC News show Combs and Carter were among the celebrities who attended a VMA's after party at the Lotus nightclub in New York City. It is not clear what time those images were taken or if Combs and Carter attended any other after parties. The building that housed Lotus is now closed, does not match the description of the house the woman described in the lawsuit and in the interview. She says, I didn't know exactly where we were going or even how long it took, she says. She added that she had guessed about the length of time the trip had taken in the lawsuit. Busby goes on to say, we have attempted to confirm the correct location. We have never suggested the location was the Lotus Club. Our client has been very specific and detailed about the description of the venue she says she was taken to, and she has never stated that it was the Lotus Club. That's correct, sir, but she did state that it was an after party. Okay, and if they end up showing evidence saying that they were only at one particular after party, that's a bit shaky. This done shook some stuff up just a bit, okay? So he goes on to say, I won't speculate on whether there was an after party because again, she doesn't know that. Well, then in my opinion, there would have had to be an after party if she said she went to the different taxis trying to catch a ride to a after party, and the person said they were connected to Diddy and took her to an after party, only for Diddy to not even be at that very party and Diddy somewhere else. There must have been an after party if she done pulled up somewhere and got violated. But I'm just merely reading exactly what is being said. Okay, so also among the woman's allegations, they could not corroborate. That could not be, I'm sorry, also among the woman's allegations that could not be corroborated is how she made it to New York City that night. Okay, one of her attorneys provided NBC News with the name and birthday of the friend she said drove her, who would have been 20 at the time, a 20-year-old friend with a 13-year-old girl. Okay, that person appears to have since died. NBC attempts to reach the person's relatives and they were unsuccessful. All right, now let's go ahead and hop over because they gave us a bit of what Jay-Z had to say and we'll get into it again. Okay, today's investigative report proves this attorney Busby filed a false complaint against me in the pursuit of money and fame. This incident didn't happen, and yet he filed it in court and doubled down in the press. Trust. Justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory. This was over before it began. This 1-800 lawyer doesn't realize it yet, but soon. Sean Carter. In case there's questions on where this is coming from, it's coming from him. Okay. Let's keep going. Oh my God. The tweets are crazy. Tweets is crazy. Alex Spiro, we've gotten into it, but he says it's stunning that a lawyer would not only file such a serious complaint without proper vetting, okay, but would make the things worse by further peddling this false story in the press. We are asking the court to dismiss this frivolous case today, and we will take up the matter of additional discipline for Mr. Busby and all the lawyers that filed the complaint. This is crazy. Here, let's go ahead and check out this news article to see exactly what was going on here. All right, let me see if we can get into it.
Like you live your life in a shatterproof, like you live your life in a shatterproof druggle ball. The world's on fire. The fire is inside the ball with you, but there's no way for you to get out.
In addition to having autism, the woman says she suffered a head injury. The night of the 2000s VMAs, she says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive. Her attorney provided NBC News with the name of the friend who has since died. The woman says she spoke to Combs's limo driver who offered her a ride to an after party.
I stumbled upon Diddy's driver who told me that I was exactly what Diddy was looking for.
What did you think when he said that to you?
I thought it meant that I was just pretty.
She went to a White House, she says, where she spoke to musicians Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo because, I have about his tattoo that's the Last Supper because I have a religious background, so it was just something to talk about.
In a statement to NBC News, a representative of the Maddens confirmed that they did not attend the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at the time. At the after party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter took turns raping her while a female celebrity watched.
JC comes in and rapes me. He at that point I was fighting, trying to get away from him, and he put his hand over my mouth and told me to stop it, cut the.
After the alleged rape, she says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up and drove her home.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where I was.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not verify the claims. Quote, "I felt like I would remember that, and I don't. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind," he said. When we asked the woman about the contradictions in a phone interview on Friday, she said that she stands by her statement.
All right, so y'all just got a little piece, okay, of what was said. I'll let you guys be the judge of that information, okay? You guys let me know what you're thinking and how you're feeling about everything that as it's playing out right before our eyes. I haven't seen Tony make a statement just yet over here on the Twitter. Let me go and check his Instagram. He has yet to say anything. Ever since Jay-Z came out, he's had quite a bit of things to say, and really even before Jay-Z spoke out, you know, he's had things to say over on his page. And yeah, he hasn't posted, hasn't said anything. So yeah, I can imagine how he's feeling. I would assume, in my opinion, pretty embarrassed just a bit potentially when you have NBC News combing through and highlighting the inconsistencies within your clients' testimony statements or whatnot, allegations, and it's still going to fall back on you, and for you to go on record and say that somebody else vetted her and just sent her over to you and you relied on that as fact and you move forward with a lawsuit with certain details and information. I don't know if that looks good, okay? But I'm not a lawyer and I'm not in the legal system. You know, I'm not in that legal world really. I'm on the outside looking in. So y'all attorneys, let me know what you guys think and whether that's a good look or whether that's just a bad look. All right. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. That's all I have for you guys at this time. I'm Jami, that's me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share my videos, or follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Jami, that's me. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef on computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. With drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I've been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be